And I was going to wear shorts, but I didn't think that'd be right.
Can you tell who that is?
Did you want this?
God, I could see him, he's good looking.
No,
Yeah, I think I got it. So,
glad you found it though.
Yeah,
I was trying to decide what to go for.
So I was in the class, so then he told me, it's like, oh, it's cool. He said, I looked at that one here and then I got back. That's not the right one. So 1996.
12th meeting to order Monday, April 6th. Roll call, please.
Mayor Anderson,
Here.
Troy Boone,
Here.
Steve Kane,
Here.
Bill Green,
Here.
Troy Doden,
Here.
Art Shaw,
Here.
and Teresa Swigan.
Agenda was sent out on Friday. Are there any adjustments, modifications to the agenda?
So one thing I would like to include on seasonal hires, we also advertise for public works. And Jeff does have someone he'd like to hire for public works as a seasonal hire. So if we just add parks and pool and public works, yeah, that's what we got, right, Jeff? Just
Yeah.
Okay.
So in public works under the third bullet.
Joey moves to adopt the amended agenda.
Boone second.
Motion by Delaney and seconded to adopt the amended agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted. We have 3 sets of minutes. Start with the March 16th minutes. That was a regular meeting, I believe, right? Is there a motion to approve the March 16th minutes?
Doden moves to approve the minutes from March 16th.
Boone second.
Motion by Doden and seconded to approve the March 16th minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. March 18th special meeting.
Boone moves to approve the minutes for the special meeting on March 18th.
Motion by Boone and seconded to approve the March 18th minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. March 26th special meeting. A motion to approve minutes.
Boone moves to approve the minutes for March 26th.
Doden second.
Motion by Boone and seconded to approve the March 26th minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's approved. Visitors to be heard, Mr. William Shorma.
Good evening. When I come and stand back here by the flag, maybe, and there are people that are watching on Zoom can see, or?
Yeah.
Right? Trying to keep this distance the way we're supposed to. I don't know if they can see me or not. You can hear, I guess. I'll scoot this way. Good evening. I handed out these little flyers here. On the back, you'll see some of my key beliefs. They're kind of the non-negotiables. So you can read those and see if we align in thought. My name is William Shorma. I serve on the Community Improvement District out in Dakota Dunes, which is similar to City Council, so thank you for your service. It sometimes gets to be a little bit of a thankless job, but it's something that I enjoy and am proud to contribute. I moved business to a manufacturing company to South Dakota back in 1992 to Yankton, called Sherco. And then within Sherco, back in 2000, about 1999, started a company within it called Truxedo. Both of those companies were sold to private equity in 2007 and 2010, spun off some things that were not related to those core businesses, and I still run that business in Springfield, South Dakota, and it's called Rushco. So my background has been in manufacturing. It's family business. I'm in business with 7 of my brothers and sisters. My connection to Beresford is I served on the Sioux Steam Board of Directors for about 15 years. I served for a year after Brad and Megan had just purchased it from Jen and Jack, who became great friends. I was on there for about 15, 16 years. And my whole background was manufacturing. I served as your senator I was appointed to Dan Lederman's empty seat when he resigned at the end of 2015 session, and served in the 2016 legislative session as a senator. I just moved my family, my wife and I, to Dakota Dunes after we'd sold the business, and she decided that we want to be centrally located to our 3 kids and our 10 grandkids. So I ran in that district, and I wasn't really known there. I did all my business in the Yankton County area and so on. So, but I started from scratch, and I got very close. I lost by about 33 votes out of 2,875 cast last time around. At that time, Jim Bolin had turned out of the House and was running for the Senate. So I said, well, I'll run for the House, even though I was serving in the Senate. And it turns out that we had another candidate that came in to the group, so there were 3 of us running for 2 seats, and I was the 3rd place vote getter. Jumped back into my business, got some new things going there, and now I'm ready to step in. That time I talked a lot about issues that I felt were most important and how I stood and identified, like on the back of the card. But my real strength is job creation. Those 3 companies that I moved and started in South Dakota have over 600 employees working for them today, all South Dakota residents. I know the advantages of being in a community the size of Yankton, and I know the advantages and disadvantages of being in a community the size of Springfield, 750 people. We have 50 employees that work in our factory there. I believe that I can help the communities in this district that grow manufacturing jobs. I've got some unique and novel ideas about that. I'd be glad to talk to you about that. It would take a little while to go through it, but I think we can attract manufacturing companies to put satellites in these communities in this district. That doesn't mean we have a housing problem, because the people are already living in those communities. They just happen to be commuting out of the communities for work during the day. So I've got some ideas to work on that. My wife and I have lived in Dakota since 2011. We moved there right after the flood, bought a house with a levee in the backyard. I'm kind of an optimist. And I've really enjoyed living there. And I grew up in North Dakota, moved that manufacturing company in South Dakota when I was 36 years old, and raised 3 daughters in Yankton. And like I said, I have 10 grandkids, Minneapolis, Lincoln, and Sioux Falls. Very much believe in working together with all of the legislators. The Democrats in the legislature are at a pretty large disadvantage because they have such a small minority. So they can't really bring things that are kind of too far to the left in order to get it passed through the legislature. But I worked with everybody in the legislature, and if we disagreed, we just walked away and disagreed. We agreed that we disagreed. So anyway, I'm running. I'm not really approaching this from the standpoint of running against the other 2 that are running. I'm running to get representation in Union County. Now you guys are on the line, so you've got the other 3 who live up the Canton and Hudson area, which is 75 miles from the southern end of the district. So I'm trying to get us back to having some representation. Lederman was there for quite some time, and then I served for a year. Then the last time that anybody ran against those 2 that are serving, or the 3 that are serving, were all from up in this area. So anyway, that's my position. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. I'm a real easy person to get a hold of. You look on the back of the card, I've got my email, I've got my cell phone on there. I like to hear from folks and see what they have to say about what's going on, and I'll give you my opinion, and I'll generally look at the opposite side of the issue before I give you my complete answer, unless it's something obvious that I've already kind of agreed to in my key beliefs. So I appreciate the time this evening. I know with all these troubled times, there's always a lot of things going on, and praying hard that we get past this thing and and get back in business. So I wish you well, and if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Otherwise,
I just got one question.
yes, sir.
On electrical, we own our own electrical here.
Right.
And
I've been speaking with, well, I'm also a former chair of the South Dakota State Chamber of Commerce. We had a long discussion about that particular subject, and it's a mess. Elk Point Elk Point, I'm on the city council, not city council, sorry, Chamber of Commerce, in the Chamber of Commerce in Elk Point, and there's a person on the municipal electric in that, and we've had some good conversations about that. So I think it was a problem that didn't need a solution, or basically, they should have left well enough alone. But it doesn't sound like that's going to be the way it's going to be resolved. But it's one of those head button things, and somebody's going to have to step in and get them to kind of wake up and reach some kind of a compromise that works for everybody. So, thank you. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I appreciate it very much.
Jared Olson, the teleconference.
All right, Mayor Anderson and council members, thank you. Just following up from our last conversation and visit where I was in chambers with you, and I submitted an email to our city administrator Simons and yourselves. I'm not going to rehash everything. I think I pretty much laid out where I'm at, and we talked about it, and I put a few more things in that email. But basically, the way I see it, you've got two options. You can either look to probably rescind the ordinance of golf carts on city streets and just have it nowhere. Again, I don't think that's a good solution. Or we could look at some practical changes to that ordinance and get it in what I would view as compliance. The biggest piece you're missing is city council issues a sticker, and that's kind of the part that's added on there. So I'm not going to talk any longer. I'm just going to ask that you give it a first reading and move it on for a second reading and adoption sometime down the near future here.
Hey Jared, I had a thought on this. So you probably won't object to this, but my personal feeling is I'm not opposed to updating the ordinance and allowing it, except my feeling is those that are paying for cart storage or trail fees should have zero cost. But I think that folks that don't, I think the yearly annual fee should be much higher. You gotta have some skin in the game. If they're just buying a cart so they can drive it around on city streets and not use it for golfing, then I think the annual fee should be $100, $150, $200. And then they have to buy insurance also, which is going to be, what'd you say it was $100? What was the annual for the golf cart insurance, Jared?
The carrier that I found that was able to, just willing to sign on at a higher limit than required, it was just going to be a flat $75. You could probably find some cheaper out there, but it was $75 a year. And in that ordinance that I drawn up, the changes, I indicated if you have, if you're paying for a cart storage, you're paying a trail fee already. I did put in there, I thought it should be less, but, that's something I'm really could care less about. You guys set the fee at $0, you set it at $100, or if you have a trail fee, you're paying that $125 or $135. I don't know what it even costs right now, but, whatever you want to do there, I'd just like to see it move forward and get in a place where I think it's in compliance and we can all follow the rules. That'd be great.
Mike, how do you feel about that being police?
How much is the trail fee, I guess? I mean, how much trail fee is?
If I can look quick. I think it's like 125.
I think it's 125. It's within that.
I never did that.
But they don't buy a trail fee unless they have a membership, correct?
So we're saying if someone purchased storage and trail fee, that they should have a they should still have to have a sticker, but just at a lower cost, is that what you're saying?
My thought is, if they have a membership and they're paying to store their cart or they're paying the trail fees, so they're using that cart for golfing primarily, then I don't think I'm all in favor of that. But the ones that are having a cart that don't have a membership, therefore they're not paying a trail fee and they're not paying to store it out there, and they're purchasing that cart for the single purpose of operating it on the city streets because we're now going to allow it, I think that the annual fee has to be high.
I agree with you.
I wouldn't disagree with that, I mean.
When I say high, I'm not afraid of a couple $100 because
I think the thing of it is it's the element of the unknown, because we don't know how many stickers have to be created, and obviously them stickers are gonna cost money. And we're gonna have to change them up every year, whether it be color,
Right.
whether it be number, I don't know how you would do it. But, say we make 25 stickers and we sell 2, and I don't know how much a sticker of that size would cost. I mean, it's a cost to the city, so I would agree with you on that.
the other question I had for you, Jared, and do they provide an insurance card like auto insurance does when you buy that policy for that golf cart?
Yeah, I haven't bought mine yet. I'm kind of sitting and waiting here. I told my carrier just to sit tight. But yes, I believe you're going to get an insurance card very similar to what you get with your car, is what I understood.
And so, like a vehicle, there'd have to be a card in the cart.
That would be my intent. Yes, I would keep that proof of insurance in the cart at all times.
Now, when I looked up Lake Yankton, and they have an ordinance similar to what is drafted here. They don't actually list the rates, and they defer to the city manager to set the rates. And is that something that we want to explore? If people agree to this,
It'd be easier to change it year to year if we wanted to, without having to do the ordinance.
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Their city manager form of government though, which is a different form of government. You could say that the fees could be adjusted by resolution, which you do with a lot of rates in the city.
We do that with the golf course.
You do that, so rather than just defer that or pass that authority on to someone, I think you'd want to just say that it can be modified annually by the council by resolution. You don't have to go through the ordinance.
I think it'd be better to not have the fee in the actual ordinance, if possible, and then some other.
And then you can just say that just an annual fee will be established by the council
Well, you
from
can,
time to time.
at the same time we're approving the golf rates all at one shot or not. And then the fines that are levied if someone's in violation of that ordinance, are those state fines?
Yeah.
So if they have a moving violation, that's gonna go on their driving points?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm all in favor of that.
I guess I would say I would either ask it either be the city administrator, somebody, either that or the police department can also do it too, show proof of financial responsibility. And then we could sign a form and they can bring it down to the city hall and say, I've done everything I should do, and then the city could issue the sticker on that. Because I think we, like you said, we have to have that card. Because the problem we run into is, oh, it's under my homeowner's insurance, well, it's covered out on your farm,
Yeah.
but it's not covered on the city
It's
street.
covered on the course, it's covered on your premise, but not in between.
Some are in between is what, Brad Anson ran some
Yeah.
of that by some of his carriers. And he said he thought that the majority of them covered on your own premises, on the golf course, or several of them also had direct lines
Point A
in
to
place
point B.
to the golf
If you
course.
go to the, but if you go to the post office and back into a car, you're not covered.
Well, I think that's a good idea. What Mike said is they have to show that to get the sticker.
Right.
And then, I mean, because if you're gonna get insurance and you're gonna get the sticker to drive it, you're gonna do them at the same time.
The only glitch then, I don't know how you would show that if your homeowners covered it.
I'm sure they'd be.
Get a letter
I'm
from-
sure the insurance guys had to have it come up before.
And that's been the problem, is, with the Rangers and the Rangers, they say it's covered under my homeowner's insurance. They don't offer a card for that. And technically by statute, you're supposed to be able to furnish that
I can
if
tell
you're
you,
driving on the road.
I can tell you with most certainty that most companies, unless they have a special endorsement, are not going to cover motorized vehicles that are on the street. They're gonna cover a motorized vehicle if it's used on the premise to service the insured premise, like pushing snow or mowing grass, but not when you're out on the road.
And what, I mean, Ideally, we want them to have insurance, because I think the law says that you have to have insurance.
Yeah, I have insurance.
But I think it gets a little dangerous if we're going to try to interpret somebody else's policy, because they could also cancel the policy the day after they get a sticker.
Just like they can do with their auto policy. They get a warning ticket for not having insurance, they go get it.
Could we develop a waiver when they obtain a sticker, if this was approved, that informs them of the law that says that they shall have insurance, but in terms of them actually having it, I don't want to see your officers or the city trying to decipher somebody's homeowner's policy and figure out what may or may not be covered.
See, and I don't even think non-insured motorist coverage would even cover that. You know, because we're all paying for non-insured motorists. And technically, that's not, you know, by the standard guidelines of a motor vehicle. It doesn't have the safety crash rating, it doesn't have seat belts.
It's not titled.
I doubt non-insurance motorists, so if that golf cart is to hit you and they didn't have insurance.
I think
But what I'm saying is that even if they have insurance of some sort, you're having to decipher something that you're not an insurance adjuster. You're not gonna know for sure. And you
But
can't-
it would be easier to do it beforehand than at the time that something happens. I guess that's what I was thinking.
I think we have a duty to protect the citizens, the ones that are driving the cart and the ones that aren't driving the cart. Just like I would like us to make sure they have insurance. It's the burden's on them. If they want the permit to operate on the street, they have to bring something to us that tells us that golf cart's covered.
We have to prove that. I don't disagree with that, I'm just saying we have to prove it. Now, it's up against us deciding if that insurance is truly insurance as they claim it to be.
I think if they give us an insurance card, we're acting in good faith. I mean, just like Troy said, I can go get an auto insurance policy and then cancel it the next day, and I have that for 6 months.
Yep.
And so if I get pulled over, I'm showing you, I mean, there's no way to validate that in this at all.
Are you gonna require that of all of them that have cart shed rental and driving from their home and only pay?
If they're gonna be on the street, they're gonna have to have the insurance. They're not gonna have to pay the annual fee or maybe just for a sticker, but they still have to have insurance.
But I think, I know where you're going, and if they're covered because they're strictly only going from their home to the golf cart course, and an insurance agent has said that they would be covered, we're now making them get additional insurance, even though they're never ever gonna be out on the streets. I mean, I'm just thinking we are gonna have a lot of pushback from all these people that are currently going from home to the golf course, that are now, we're gonna make them get a sticker, yeah, maybe free of charge, but now we're gonna make them have additional insurance on that golf cart. I just think we're gonna get a lot of feedback.
And I think also, this is something that, to my knowledge, and you've lived here for your whole life, right? I don't think this has ever been a problem. I think.
I can choose your battles.
Hasn't been a major problem.
No, I mean, it's not only been to and from.
I think adding layers of bureaucracy dealing with insurance that we may or may not be able to prove that they have, retain, keep. I think we're adding something that we're creating a problem that doesn't exist right now. I know the intention is good, but what are we saying?
Everybody knows what auto insurance is, and they know if they have auto insurance or not on the vehicle that they're driving. But a lot of people are confused about their property insurance and are not familiar with their coverages. And that's why I think either.
But is that our job to educate people on something that's their own personal property?
Yeah, a little bit, I think. If we're gonna do this and permit non-titled, non-road designed vehicles to operate on city streets, I think we have to go one step and make sure.
But the same thing could be said if I run into your car with my bicycle, with an electric scooter, with a moped. I'm an uninsured motorist, right?
But a bicycle's not motorized, you'd be covered under your homeowner personal liability.
Yeah, under the statute of motor vehicle, bicycle, electric scooters can't be driven on their own.
I think we're creating something that's morally burdensome.
Then I think either that or we gotta give them something when they come in for the permit that specifically states it is more than likely that your homeowner's insurance will not cover you for liability when you're on a city street or off the golf course or off your insured premise with this golf cart. And then when they sign for the permit, they're signing for that fact sheet also, so that they know I better look into that. I think we have a duty to at least point out to them and actually hand them something that says.
That's what I'm saying, I think
They
it's.
better check it out, and then they have to sign for the permit, which means they're signing that they received that document. And I think you have to be 18 years old to license a vehicle, correct or not?
No.
But I think you need to be 18 to pull a permit. 14-year-old kid comes down here and you hand him this piece of paper.
Isn't there an exception for farm vehicles? I thought.
Oh, yeah. What I'm saying, if they're operating on the road and they can't show proof, they say it's under the homeowners and they say, if they can't show proof, we can tow the vehicle by statute. And we can impound the vehicle until they show proof. I think we're gonna get kicked back from that too if we want to enforce it. I mean, I see both sides of what's going on here. It's a catch-22.
What are we trying to solve? People driving a golf cart around as a car? Or are we trying to solve being legal driving from your house to the golf course?
Well, both issues are on that hand right now.
Right. And they're two distinct issues. If you're driving the thing around the town like a car, it would need to have insurance on it. If you're driving it to the golf course to golf.
This is where Yankton, when they were debating it, not for Yankton, but they got stuck in this, do we allow it between home and a golf course, or do we allow it beyond that, and how do we enforce that? How do we prove where somebody's coming from or going to, and it just becomes a quagmire that we can't get out of.
Can we not do something like the county does when you license a UTV or an ATV? You initial off and say, I've got these accessories, I have insurance, and we can make a checklist and make them initial off next to it, and under the insurance responsibility, put that, please note, homeowner's insurance may not cover this. Then they're initialing off saying, I agree to this.
You may be liable.
Yeah. I mean, to me,
That's a notarized document too.
that I would think would solve our problem here. We can issue the permit, make them responsible for signing off on all of this. And then if they are a golf member, no fee. If they're not a golf member, we have the fee.
And then maybe we gotta cover $5 or $10 to get administrative costs for the permit. You know, the permits are gonna be numbered or not numbered. I mean, there's gonna be costs, so.
We'll have to figure out
But
those.
figure that out later, but I would like to see if they don't have a membership at the golf course and they're not paying trail fees. They have to have a membership and a trail fee, or a membership and cart storage. Otherwise, why would they have their cart?
Jared, maybe this question's for you. How many guys drive their golf carts back and forth to the golf course?
You know, I don't know what number you have. You have quite a few of them that even live in the cul-de-sacs. And when those cul-de-sacs were designed, there was no path put in that allows them to enter on the end of that cul-de-sac. I guess the cul-de-sac is a city street. You actually have quite a few of them, I think, that are out there. You know, I drive about 4 blocks to get to the golf course. My cart is not currently insured. I've done this for a few years. I've just driven over. I knew I could drive directly from my home to the course and back again. I did not know that the current ordinance in place requires it to be insured until I started digging into this. And that comes from state statute. If you are going to have an ordinance that allows golf carts in the city street, even if they're driving them just to the home and to the course and back, it's on the city street. And some of them may even go. Milt Oosted talked to me outside the chambers last time we met. He said, I drive mine across the street. What I needed insured, I said, state statute and the current ordinance in place require it. I said, you do what you want to do, but that's what's required. So I think there's a lot of them out there that are operating with no insurance, and they're not even thinking that it's on their homeowners. They don't even know it's required.
But some of them,
But the state,
but some of the discussion we've had is that if they're operating directly to and from the golf course, their homeowner's insurance may cover it. They just don't know because they probably.
yeah, I'd be surprised on that.
Some do,
Yours does.
or mine does.
I think we should, if this is approved, I think we should defer the fee to either the committee or a resolution not tied to the ordinance. And I think that we should develop some sort of a sign-off, which is what is used to pick up the sticker that we still have to figure out how much it's gonna cost, where to get it from, develop a fee, and they have to sign off something in front of a city official that verifies that they understand that they must meet these requirements.
Where would you want that sticker so it's clearly visible?
That's a good point.
Chief.
Because every, I mean, let's just say for Hudson, when I worked for the county, they had stickers, you couldn't see them. They were just like validation stickers, like your car. At nighttime, there's no reflective capability to them. You just couldn't see them, so they were getting stopped anyway. So it would have to be a bigger sticker, like a trail pass sticker. But I think it would have to. Yeah, and I don't know. Was it nighttime driving? Were we?
In the ordinance that's drafted, it would be headlights and taillights would allow you to drive after dusk.
Okay, so I would think the validation sticker would have to be big enough, and I don't have an probably right up front somewhere. I mean, some have probably glass windows, some don't. I mean,
if a windshield, it should be on their windshield. If they don't have it, then it needs to be somewhere.
I think we need, like normal with your license plate, that's the lower right corner. I think we need to stipulate where that needs to be, so we know where to look for it. Not that we're gonna be out there chasing it, but
You can make it fluorescent, can't you?
you can do whatever you want. You can spend as much money as you want. Yeah.
Anybody opposed to the ordinance change? If we cross off the dollars, we could do the first reading tonight and hash out these details, or even the golf course committee, or the advisory board, if they wanted to have some input in it. We have a couple weeks to do that before the second reading.
Yeah, I would strike out.
Can we do a reading if we're gonna change it?
Yeah.
What do we have to do to,
Just has to be noted that this is first reading of the ordinance and then, noted in the
no
minutes.
vote, no nothing?
No vote on the first reading.
Mayor Anderson, could I make one more comment?
Yes, sir.
Discussion there on if you have, if you are a golf course member and you are paying a trail fee or a cart storage, that'd be your reason you're buying this mostly to play golf. There are going to be a number of the people in town that are not necessarily golf club members, they're Great Life members, but they're paying the trail fee or paying the cart storage. I mean, that'd be your other possibility.
Good point. Yes. Half a dozen.
But it's sort of a proxy member, aren't they, when they're Great Life? I mean,
Yeah, you kind of are. Associate member or something like that, I think is the name, but.
right.
Good point.
All right, council members, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I struggled to hear, did we get a first reading? Is that where we're at?
We gotta make some language change first.
I think that's where we're going.
Okay, thank you.
So if we leave as is, can we strike language moving forward, or do we have to?
Yeah, you could just take this one and what Gary has suggested and just have in there that the fees are the issue, is that the fees would be established by the council, from time to time by resolution, rather than laying them out in the other thing that was, he did have a location for the sticker, as I recall. Fixed to the rear fender bumper is the last sentence in 70908. So I think if you want a different location, you should note that.
Most time you meet them head on, so I would think up front.
I would think up front too, in front of the driver.
He wants it on the front.
That's fine. I think the only changes then, as I understand what you're asking, would be in 70908. Say the fee for golf cart permit shall be established by the council from time to time by resolution. If you want to leave the language about under trail fee, you could do that in the resolution, I think. Establish the fees from time to time. So you don't have to worry about including in the ordinance the trail fee or the cart storage language.
Can the resolution include the requirement to be a golf member and paying trail or storage?
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be your resolution.
What even like the placement of the sticker? Because what if we do some investigating and we find that there's something that's
I put that in the ordinance. Because if someone got stopped for violation, then, I mean, fee's one thing, but I think the ordinance, I'd rather have that right in there, just so there's a known location it's supposed to be affixed. Just like a
If we
license
find
plate,
out in the next couple of weeks that we want to move the location, can that be?
just have to do an amendment to the ordinance.
Which we can do at the second reading and still pass it at the second reading.
Yes, you could change that. That's not.
Alright,
Do we need to vote on a first reading or just the
No.
first reading?
The first meeting will be noted in the minutes.
Okay.
And then that'll be the change. We'll get it in form for you to have in the packet next time if the language changes.
Clear as can be, Elaine?
Is there gonna be a violation for,
It's in there.
It's in there.
okay, I changed
It's
that.
25 and I think that's.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
75 to 100, isn't it?
I thought it was 25 to start.
That was the fee.
That's the fee.
It's 905. Violation subject to a fine $25 and you have to pay it and then it starts to go up.
Oh, they put it in like the parking tickets that
we
come
can
to City
address
Hall
that at the
first.
second reading too, if we wanna change that, right?
I think it also states that it can be revoked at any time.
Right.
And we can revoke it.
They put the 72 hours payment in City Hall to avoid having to get out the court costs. Tied up in it, pay like a parking ticket type thing.
Does the ordinance need to read who has the authority to revoke it?
It says by the city,
City.
Okay.
so it would say any officer of the city, right? Meaning police or city hall.
I put all that on the chief of police.
I better read it first then.
My guess is the City Hall staff does not want that responsibility. I don't mean to speak for Elaine and Kathy and Allison and Renee.
Like in theory, if somebody had it and they didn't pay for the next year, we would have to somehow dispose of that number and revoke it.
Oh, you sent a notice that it's been revoked?
Well, they're not gonna get it every year, so they will get a new sticker with a different color probably, so the officers know,
Right.
just like your license plate.
We're good?
We're good.
Next on the agenda, Mr. Pat Carey, Banner Engineering.
Thank you. Thanks for having me down here tonight. Talking about wastewater isn't as exciting as talking about golf carts, but hopefully we can get through this. Just a quick little background on kind of why this conversation was started between Jerry and Jeff and Keith and myself. Back at the end of December, the DENR sent a letter to the city indicating that they were going to send you a new draft wastewater permit. And one of their bullets was, due to future permit limits, a construction schedule was made part of the permit. So what they're kind of preparing you for is that they have on the schedule to hire a professional engineer licensed in South Dakota, review the city's wastewater treatment facility operations, specifically to address the numerous discharges from the wastewater treatment facility and the capabilities of the treatment facility to meet future ammonia and bacteria limits. And so, you know, kind of the first part of that is just with all the wet seasons that we've had, high groundwater, etc. Jeff and his staff have been trying to keep ahead of that, and as a way to do that, they're discharging from the wastewater ponds more frequently than what the permit currently suggests. Right now it's a 180-day discharge. You're supposed to do it twice a year. Based on what I've seen and heard, I think Jeff and his guys have done a great job of keeping on top of that and doing all the necessary reporting that they need to do. There's a couple other systems we're working with where they didn't do that reporting, and now they're in a different level of situation with DENR. And so, you know, even though they're telling you that you need to, you know, make some improvements, you guys have been more proactive than a lot of trying to, you know, follow the rules and stay within the guidelines. So some of this, again, is also trying to meet the future limits that they're going to set for you. this is maybe a little bit ahead of the game, but, you know, they identified a schedule in here where they want a facility plan submitted by March 1st of 21. And then their next item is to submit plans and specs for system upgrades by July 1st of 21. And that to us seems really aggressive. That, you know, ideally if you were by March of 21 submitting a plan, at that point you'd be identifying potential projects, you'd be looking for funding, and that would take several months to go through that process, not, you know, 4 months to have plans. So that's maybe something we'd want to verify with DENR sooner than later, just because then the next thing they have is to start construction by June 1st of 22. So that seems kind of odd that having plans July of 21 and then starting construction June of 22, that's a little too long of a time frame there. So maybe they just have a date or something that's a little goofy. Well, so then we put together a proposal that is a few pages of kind of a fee narrative, and then followed up with a scope of work. And basically what we're going to do then is address the items that DENR kind of identifies, and then follow their outline of what needs to be included in a facility plan. We talked about, I think maybe at one of your last meetings, you talked about the flow monitoring, and that was just kind of an idea. It's certainly not a necessary component of it. It could maybe give you some, you know, more factual data, but, you know, kind of knowing what we think we already know, where the problem areas are. You know, maybe that's not completely necessary. The idea of doing some televising, I see that's on the agenda a little later for Jeff. That would probably go a long way to helping answer some of these questions. So, you know, if you give us the go ahead to start on this report, you know, we'd be working with Jeff and his staff to identify, you know, what they know of problem areas, you know, places to start looking for how to reduce clear water inflow issues, whether it be, you know, sump pumps, drain tiles, also looking at the treatment process, what might have to be adjusted out there to meet some of these future effluent limits, and then working with Elaine and the billing staff, getting some water records and things like that for the past several years, so that we can kind of quantify, you know, based on the water you're selling, how much you should be seeing at the wastewater plant versus how much you're actually seeing, to try to quantify the difference in the inflow problem that might be existing. Some of the things we also could do is maybe some more monitoring of that flume out at the wastewater headworks. You know, if that's something that's viable for Jeff and his guys to do. You know, now that we're getting into spring, you know, that could maybe give us at least some indications of 1 year of what some of the wet season flows are. As far as a fee, we're proposing a fee of $32,000 to submit the report. We're gonna, you know, assuming we get started on it here, we'd be working on it over the next several months, and then have the final report done by December, with some interim dates of doing some alternative evaluations, having a draft report by October, doing a public hearing in November, the final report in December, and then what that would do for us, we'd be wanting to be working with CCOG all the way through this, most likely, but that would get us in position to be in on the first round of funding from DENR in 21. So if you wanted to go with the SRF program, get on the state water plan, get a SRF clean water funding application put in, so that it could potentially be in for the first round. And then as far as, like I said, the scope, that was pretty much following DENR's outline. If anybody had a chance to review that, or if there was any questions, that's kind of a gist of what's in this proposal.
Not wanting to move too far forward, Pat, but when I was reading the camera television of the sewer lines that Jeff was providing us, it looked like we were on a 3-year projection.
Yeah. It's updated. The previous one that I had was for 2 years. And so I asked him for a minimum, and then if we could stretch it out, so he went to 3 years.
3 years.
Minimum, yeah.
Well, that was what I was gonna ask Pat, then is, so if we're gonna do this cammering of the sewers, and it's gonna take 3 years, how are we gonna have a true report put together?
Right, I mean, that probably won't fit what DENR is expecting for a schedule, but, maybe, I guess, that 3 years, is that for the whole town?
Well, it was 80,000 linear feet.
Oh, okay.
And I think our understanding is that if we show some proactive measures to resolve the water inflow problem, that the schedule by DENR is fluid as well.
Right, I think that was kind of the final paragraph here that they said.
And if they'll push those as we show more action on our part, because obviously there's limited time and limited resources for us to do all this in 12 months, or 18 or 24.
So I guess my question, Pat, would be is, I mean, are we moving forward really quick to have this report done by December of 2020? Or can we, I mean, I'm not trying to force you into being a long timeline, but I'm just looking at what reports we can get from the sewer, hammering the sewer lines versus the information that we can give you.
So I think there's maybe a couple ways to approach that. One would be, if we want to try to keep on the schedule that DENR outlined, then to, prioritize this first year of televising on what we kind of presume to be the problem areas, and then roll forward with that with the plan, or maybe get in contact with DENR and explain that alternative of, it's going to take us 3 years to get through the televising. Can we push this whole schedule back until that gets accomplished and see what they say about it? And I think you could ask the question.
Yeah.
I think the challenge of having a study right now is the results could change dramatically if we do the cammering and find, if we can reduce our inflow by 50% or some number, all of this other stuff is going to change. And if we do the study first, but then we start changing the variables after the study's been accomplished, now the study's no longer valid.
Right.
That was my exact thing too, reading this, is I think Jeff and the city needs to get a better grip on what they think the problem is. Or not what, where.
Because we know what.
Yeah,
we know
what it is.
We know what, yeah.
We got more water coming in than we buy. I mean, and have them get a better grip on where it is. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I completely see the need for this down the road. But I don't know if it's right now. I think we need to move with what?
So
doing that stuff.
To make sure that I understand though, Pat, when I read the first initial report that Jeff gave his committee members, it said that we had to put an engineer into place. I mean, you're already our engineer for the city, your planner is. I mean, are we getting, I'm not saying that I don't want to start the process, but I don't want to put 32,000 out on the, and just say we're going to pay 32,000 to move forward with this, but yet we're looking at a long time of waiting for all of these reports.
Right.
So I mean, is there another way of looking at it? I mean, you're already our engineer, so DENR would already be, we've already got that established.
Right. And, you know, just in the conversations that I've had with Jeff and the guys too, I mean, this is probably getting ahead of ourselves a bit, but just for the sake of discussion, and let's say we do find out that a majority of this issue is because of drain tiles on private property that are tied into the sanitary sewer. Realistically, I don't even know how that becomes a city project. I mean, that would have to be, you know, probably something that you would need to, or maybe would want to enforce on an individual basis. So kind of where you're going, Gerald, is, you know, you do this steady, we find out that the problem's not really the city's problem.
Right.
You know, how do we do enough to find that out, but not get so far down the road that we, you know, spend some money that we didn't need to spend? And I can see that side of it too.
And we've been doing some groundwork, smoke testing, and then doing this videoing all the pipe. There's people out there that have tile that leach right into the sanitary sewer that don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have one question. I know we have a water meter where we're buying water, but if there's different lift stations and different pipe coming from the sewer coming from different parts of town, we could meter that and know how many gallons are coming each day from this street, or whatever, this block of the town. Is there zones and meters for water too, or do we just have one water meter?
No, just one water meter.
So we don't know if this inlet coming to the pond over here, we're getting 300,000 gallons of water out of it every day, but those same customers are only buying 50.
Well, you just have to add up the meters in the section of town that you wanted to look at.
Right.
You know, over there we'd have to subtract. You know, I don't know that we'd be able to get a good handle on where the majority of the flow of the water is coming, other than probably lift station number 2. That's where Sunset and Grandview dump into. Number 1 comes into that, but that's just the businesses that are up there. And 3 comes into that too, but that's the businesses down there. You know, in Nathan's neck of the woods and Mike's neck of the woods, that stuff comes into number 2. That we can kind of get an idea there how much water is going to the lagoon from there.
We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves into the
A little bit.
the camera. We talked earlier that your crew can see water at one lift station, and then when they track it back up to other manholes, they can visually see that there's not as much water at certain points,
Yeah.
but other water, so they're kind of narrowing it down where it might be coming from.
And that's how we would determine where we're going to go video first.
Yep. Yeah. One of our first spots is going to be starting right by the old Burks there. That feeds into lift station number 2. We're going to go up Spruce because there's a lot of clear water flowing in there. That'll take you south on 14th Street. You raise the manhole and on Main there for that. Then that crosses straight south to by Bergen's and on Sunset. The next manhole is at Grandview and Sunset by Bonshy's. And then down by Steve Kane's is the next one. We raised that one too. When we got to Grandview and Sunset by Bonshy's, the water significantly slowed down. So from that point to Maine, there's a lot of water coming in. We don't know if there's a stub out into Jensen's vacant lot there that is uncapped and acting as a drain tile, or the camera would show us that.
Right. Why 3 years? Why would they take so long to do that?
I was stretching it out for money purposes.
Oh, but I think we have more of a sense of urgency than that, don't we?
So we could do it all this year if you wanted it all now.
I didn't know if it was their limitation or if that was our.
I just wanted a minimum, and then he actually stretched out to 3 years. We want to do it all now, we can do it all now.
We could, if we approve doing it, the council could add additional funding.
Yeah.
To do as much as possible in the remainder of this calendar year.
No, he just put in a minimum.
Okay. If we have a dry year by June, it wouldn't be advantageous to be doing it because you're not
Right now, we want good.
What's
Right now, right now, the ideal.
Right now is ideal.
You can start in 2 to 3 weeks, he said.
And
That
that
would
was,
help you.
right, and that was kind of the concept of the flow monitoring to answer the question that you had, but I see, I mean, there's a lot of money, and it's still looking at relatively large sections of town.
Right.
So to really pinpoint it from that is difficult.
We already have a general idea of the sections of town. We're really to the point now where it's home by home that we want to look at. And that people need to be aware that they're dumping all that groundwater in.
Because Jeff had shared with me earlier, correct me if I misquote this, but at times when we're dry, that number 2 that company said runs about 3 hours a week.
Well, years ago now, that was 3-4 hours a week.
So now
per motor.
it's 10 to 11, and sometimes up to 80 hours a week.
It was 57 hours last week.
And there's 2 pumps at 60 gallons per minute, which was
I think
380,000 gallons a week, I think we figured out.
Mhm.
And we're dumping 1 million out of our pond every month, or no more than that.
It was what did I say? Do you remember what I said for January and February? It was 1.5 or?
Per day, wasn't it?
I thought it was like 1 million a day.
1 million gallons a day going into the pond.
A week
or more.
A week ago when we got that rain and a little bit of snow, we went from roughly 600,000 gallons a day coming in to 2.5 million gallons in a 24-hour period. That ran for 2 days. Then the flow started to go down. And it just we're still way above that 600,000, which is our. You can't. It's not normal, but I mean that's where we kind of sit at.
We're buying about 2.
Yeah.
Or a little more sometimes.
Yeah. We even backed off of that. We were at about 190,000, I think, the last meeting I had. We've averaged 177 now the last couple weeks. So,
And with spring rains probably coming,
yeah.
Nobody's gonna be watering.
it's probably a good time to camp because there's.
So there's 3 times the amount of water going out that we're feeding into it.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah.
And if we get a heavy rain,
That's a whole lot more.
then there's more than 10 times.
So I guess going forward, Pat, I guess what I was trying to come up to is instead of approving spending 32,000 right now, I mean, if we move forward with what we've been talking about here and doing the camera, and we use you on hourly rates that you had given us, I mean, that's what we're really kind of looking for right now.
I think so. I mean, I don't even know if that part's necessary completely. I mean, because realistically, there's some time in here. So maybe the way to approach it would be to put the study part on the shelf, do the field investigation, see if that leads us down the path we think it's going to lead us down, and then maybe revisit doing the formalized part of the study. And I think that makes some sense for sure, as opposed to doing everything at once, because we do have, like I said, some time to let some of this work itself out. I would agree maybe 3 years is going to be pushing it with DD&R's schedule, but I don't know if you could. I guess maybe this is just hypothetical too. If you'd say to split it into 2 years, and this first year concentrate on where you think the problem areas are, see if that pans out to lead us where we think it's going to lead us, and then maybe start the report. Or once we get going on the televising, we realize maybe we want that second year of data before we do the report, and then work with DNR to push that schedule back. I mean, I think that's on the table too.
Okay.
If they wouldn't start their work for 2-3 weeks,
2-3 weeks.
that would give us until the next meeting to come up with what we're going to do with that data when we get it. Really, you're going to have to address, as if you identify there's a lot of clear water coming in the middle of the day from that house, that house, that house, that house.
Mm-hmm.
What action we're going to take? Immediate action, and we can't put it off and make a list, deal with it in 6 months.
Right.
It's going to be immediate. We have to talk to the homeowner on what are we going to require them to do. we need a plan and a recommendation on that, and we have to agree on that, and then when they start doing it, we're gonna be telling people we're gonna shut their water services off and their sewer services off if they don't rectify their issue. I mean, that's what we're gonna have to do.
Or a fine attached to their billing.
I mean, does our current
Every
ordinance, Tom, does that cover, if somebody has their drain field piped into the,
It's illegal under the ordinance.
so we have an ordinance already in place,
We can enforce it.
and it's a matter of us figuring out a reasonable mechanism to get it fixed.
I mean, that's in there, that you cannot hook up,
Right.
any surface.
Is there any language in there about grandfathering those folks that were drain tile direct in? It just says you cannot be dumping subsurface water into the sanitary sewer, period. So we have to be unified in what we're gonna do when we identify those places, those houses. Some of them may have a valve system and just choose not to have a hose running in their yard or out to the street, and those are easy ones to fix. They can just go do it and we fine them. If it was intentional, here's your fine, you're gonna get fined right away, and don't do it, we'll be watching, sorry.
But
That's just the way we gotta be.
like Jeff said, we could find some stubs someplace that just nobody even knows about. I think
Right,
it could be purely accidental.
right.
They just, I mean, the homeowner or landlord may want to fix it, they just don't even know it exists.
I think something needs to go in the utility bill or something next time too. Giving people, we're doing this because we have this issue with our pond system. And we're looking at millions of dollars to expand our capacity in our ponds, or we need to enforce this ordinance and take this sump water out of our sanitary sewer system. So we're electing to do the lesser of the costly.
Well, plus if we just build it, we talked about before, if we just build another lagoon and don't fix the problem, we're just gonna be filling up another lagoon and dumping.
Yep,
Just as
and they're gonna pay for it, all the taxpayers are gonna pay for it then, even the people that are not violating the ordinance.
So we'll end up having to come back and do this anyways, plus paying for it.
Right.
That we may not
Right.
even.
So we don't have a choice. If we identify someone that's dumping some water in there, accidental or intentional, doesn't matter. They're gonna have to dig up their landscape and disconnect that pipe and put in a outdoor sump or something. It's just, that's all there's to it. And it's gonna cost them money, but we can't help it.
And again, maybe a hypothetical with that is, if we are doing that televising on the main and you find those services that are just pumping a bunch of water, you find a friendly homeowner that, maybe is on the same page, and you see if you can get in their house to run a camera through their service line and just see if there actually is drain tile tied in outside. And then that's maybe the start of, investigating it further, and, kind of prove the theory, so to speak. 'Cause I don't know that you can prove that from the street. Maybe you know better than
So
me.
if, as we're televising and you see a service that, they're probably both at work, there shouldn't be any water coming in the middle of the day, and it's clean, clear water, there's either a break in the line or in the tile or whatever they have, or there's tile around the house into the sanitary sewer, or a sump pump that's pumping into it.
Right.
Once you identify that service, then that's the house you're gonna have to get into, and camera going out to see what's going on.
And that's not even our responsibility. That's their responsibility to hire someone to come in and camera that out. Because if our line is good and all that water's coming from theirs, they're either intentionally dumping it down there or unintentionally draining it in there with their tile, or they have a break in their service line that's allowing a bunch of groundwater in. But that's their responsibility. We're identifying a problem. We're doing the work for you. We've invested in this. The city did. You have an issue, you need to fix it.
I got a question, Jeff. On those water softeners, when they cycle, sometimes if you're not home with it cycles, it's gonna throw some water down that line.
Yeah, well, that would be a trickle, and usually everybody's water softener cycle 2 o'clock in the morning when they're not using water, because once it kicks into regeneration, you're getting just hard water. That's what everybody's got to do it when they're sleeping.
It'll be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
The way my sump pump is flowing right now, very obvious. every 60 seconds. Maybe a minute, or 2 minutes. It's a
Kicks
lot.
in.
It's a lot.
All right. Didn't really answer your question fully, Pat.
No, I think that was a good discussion. I think that's a reasonable plan. I mean, to have a little more data before we move forward. I think
At least
makes
table it
sense.
for a month or two until we start seeing what we're doing with the
I think we like to
video
get
stuff.
our house in order a little bit. And then
Yeah.
I think the idea of a plan is good.
Yep. And then, well, and DNR is gonna require us to have an engineer plan, so we can't put it off forever, but I'd like to see what results we're getting with the video first and how it's going when we're telling people that they have to solve their problems.
Thanks, Pat. Department head report, Mike Anderson. Still awake? Steve, are you talking? I can't hear you.
Our speaker is not working.
Hang on. How about now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here. Looks like we reviewed the bids from the East Substation project, and Dennis wanted to award the bid to Altitude Energy with a low bid. Did you want to talk about that anymore, Jerry or Tom?
Yeah, I can. So the bids were open last Thursday afternoon, and the apparent low bidder was Conductor Power out of Brainerd, Minnesota. However, when the engineers went through the bids, this was a unit price bid contract. There were some problems in terms of the extensions that the contractors had put into the bid. For example, the bid from Conductor Power, there's a line item for both the east substation improvements and the west substation improvements for additional concrete and rebar. And they put in there 25 units on each, 25 yards might be necessary. The Conductor Power had put a unit price of 700, or excuse me, 1,000 on each of those, but put nothing in the total. So they had about $25,000 out of the total of each of them, which obviously increased their bid. And the Altitude Energy, there were a few discrepancies in theirs as well. They had used the wrong quantity on one of the items that made their bid about $30-some thousand higher, Mike.
Yeah.
So the bid documents that DGR put together specifically say that the unit price and the quantities on the engineer's estimate are the figures that you need to go off of. It's not the total sum that you give, it's the extension out of all of those individual items on the unit price. So this bid did get changed from what the apparent low bid was. Conductor Power is not happy about it at all, but they can't put zero in an item that potentially $50,000. It may be zero, but part of their argument is it shouldn't have been in the bid specifications anyway, because you may not need this, but it's there in case you do need it, and you've got a price calculated, and everybody else did it that way. So the engineers recommended, and we talked with Mike and Jerry and I had a conference call with them this afternoon and went over the bid documents, and the Altitude Energy from Keensburg, Colorado would be the low bidder based upon those calculations that were completed by DGR after looking at the bids that were submitted. So, and the bid documents are very clear that it's not the total that is that you put on your bid documents, the sum of all of those components. So, Mr. Carey knows that that's very typical for these. Yep. And we've actually had a few where we had a zero a couple times, haven't we?
So is the total amount correct for Altitude $1.643 million?
Yes, that's the the revised amount, after they redid the math on their issue was quantities. They based it off a typo in the original bid document that called for 45,000, some item instead of 14,050 or something. That was
For a motion to accept.
So Doden moves that we accept the bid from
Altitude.
Altitude Energy in the amount of $1,643,943.72 for the east substation construction and west substation modifications.
Motion by Doden and seconded to accept the Altitude Energy bid for east sub and west sub, the amount of $1,643,943.72. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Authorization to advertise for bids for furnace transmission line materials.
All right, we're ready to start getting the transmission line materials ordered for the substation and transmission projects. So we would just like to get authorization to go out and start the advertising. Dennis is ready, and we'll have that the form actually in the shortly. So we just like to get that. So as soon as I have the final draft, we'll go ahead and start advertising.
So you need a motion?
We need a motion, yeah.
Can we move to authorize advertising for bid to furnish transmission line materials for substation transmission line projects?
Doden second.
Motion by Delane, seconded to authorize advertising for bids, furnishing transmission line materials, substation transmission line project. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Request to purchase 350, what's KCMIL mean?
AC mill, that's how thick the wire is.
KC mill primary wire roofing bid. I think this is what we talked about last meeting for.
This is what we talked about last time. So I narrowed my numbers down a little bit. I think we were talking 40 some thousand feet last time. I came up with about 38,500 feet is what we'll need. So probably 7 reels, and it's going to be about 136,000, give or take a little bit. So, and then there's some other material that goes in with the wire. So the wire was about 136,000, and then other material for them distribution lines. So almost a total of about 188,000.
Do we need a total to approve?
We're only buying the wire here off that bid, so the rest of the stuff is not bid. It's lower than the bid requirements. So
Okay.
they'll purchase what they need to finish it up.
So we just need to.
Yeah, we'll authorize it to purchase off the City of Brookings bid, and we'll add the rest of the information there.
So you make a motion to purchase 350 KC mill primary wire off the City of Brookings. Good.
Doden second.
Motion by Spagan, seconded to authorize purchase of 350 KC mill primary wire off the City of Brookings bid. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Step pay increase for Tucker Fox Hogan.
Mike, you want to take that one? Can I tell them where Tucker's at with that?
Yeah, same thing as last time. Tucker sitting at home a lot lately, and he's just studying and took another test and passed that. So just looking to go with the union book and give him his third step, or for the book for the step for the third book completion.
And that rate would be $29.34, correct?
Yes.
That's what you sent me anyhow, so.
That's what I sent you there.
Yep.
Can I make a motion for step pay increase for Tucker Fox Holding due to completion of third book of the merchant training program at $29.34?
Second.
Motion by Schott, seconded to authorize Step pay increase, Tucker Fox Sullivan, $29.34 per hour. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Jeff Hyde. Okay, we seem like we just talked about
I
this.
think we already talked about it.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I don't think it's something that we can poison to drag our feet on. I think
Yeah.
we have to be fairly aggressive to get this work done. So if they could do it all in 1 year, but kind of have to play that by ear. What if we don't get any rain and the water starts to slow down and they can't, they're not helpful to us anymore?
Yeah. Well, we have a bunch of spots that we want, that we're gonna hit first. That we know that there's water flowing in, so we're gonna do them first. And in anticipation to starting this, we've brought, so far 4 manholes to the surface that were buried in the street. So, because we're gonna want access to each hole. And so, we're just ready to go.
So will this need to be redone then, Jeff, this agreement? If they wanna go forward with everything right now, I think this is gonna cost it out over 3
You could
years.
use this agreement, I suppose you go back to the first one, I guess I would use the one that they just sent, because who knows what's gonna happen if we decide, let's do the bulk of it next year, or get,
Is the cost gonna change if we
no,
do it over 1 year or 2 years versus 3 years?
no.
Were they gonna bill us as they got the work done? Or was this gonna be
Yeah, as it would get done, as they would do it, there wouldn't be any prepaying anything. Some other notes on that, if you look on that, deliverables will be as follows. In the middle of that, it says upgrade to 3D spider manhole inspections, that's $75 a manhole. We won't be doing that, because we're already rehabilitating manholes. And if we see one that needs to be rehabilitated, we don't need to do that. So, but there won't be any of those.
Who did you get the quote from?
Hydroplane?
Oh, okay. Does it say in there on the reports that they give you, do they use the PACP rating system on the report?
Yeah, they rate them from 1 to a 5.
Okay.
And then, so they'll do the televising, and we'll get a USB or a CD or whatever of it. They'll do a report, and there'll be pictures on the report. Wherever there was a issue, they'll show that on each one of those pages of that report. That section is rated from 1 to 5. And they'll point things out and have suggestions as to how to fix it.
That's our main pipe issues you're talking about.
Yeah.
They're gonna camera every service coming in or videoing them.
On the main trunks and stuff.
Every service line that goes off the main.
We'll be doing the main, you mean 2 houses?
Yeah.
If we see clear water coming from a house, that's something that's gonna have to be addressed.
They're gonna document that, or we're gonna be side by side while they're doing this?
They'll show it. It'll all be in the report.
So they'll point that out.
Yes.
What's their turnaround time on the report from the time they do the video to getting the report?
I guess I don't know that.
Variable. Can't be 6 months. It needs to be like,
I'm sure it's not gonna be that long. I'll have to ask.
Even if they could, as they're doing it, if they identify one that's an issue, let you know right away.
Yeah, we do.
If we don't have a report.
Yep.
But that way the city can start moving on it.
Yeah, we'll know right off the bat. As they're going, I'm assuming we'll probably get the USB of it as they're doing it, and they're gonna let us know, because we're gonna be there, because we're the one that's gonna do any jetting, if some jetting needs to be done. And yeah, so we're gonna know the day that they come, whatever they do, we're gonna know this is what they see here, here, and here. These addresses. The service for this address is flowing a lot of water. We'll know then.
I'm assuming some people are gonna wanna see the video when we tell them that they have to dig up their yard to fix an issue.
Cool.
We've seen some exhibits in years so far, they're pretty clear.
Yeah.
There's,
Pretty impressive.
It's obvious.
you can see when a toilet flushed.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not a lot left for the imagination.
Okay. All right.
Well, we need approval for,
All we need to do is approve this agreement, right? Because there's no restriction on the timeline. We can go ahead and ahead if we choose. That's something we can decide.
I think as long as it says they agree to have it done by 2023, but I guess if you wanna go forward any faster than that, it's up to us.
Motion.
Doyle moves to accept the proposal from HydroClean for video pipeline inspection. The estimate for 80,000 lineal feet of pipe and a total of $46,651 to be completed sometime over the next 3 years.
motion by Schott and or by Doug and seconded to approve the proposal by HydroClean in the amount of up to $46,650, excuse me. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Finance office report.
Well, if everyone's share, there should be
Have a good night.
Yes, thank you,
See you,
Pat.
Beth.
February financial report. I'm just gonna touch base on some of the ordinary expenses for February. And, the police department, the 2015 Ram, 1,500 transmission repair of $761. The bridges installed carpet in the meeting room and the office for $960. The liquor store and the bridges also had a liquor liability insurance of $2,345. The electric department had Omni Pro load management, which is a 1-year support of $3,136. The water sewer department purchased the Omni Pro SCADA monitoring equipment for $14,750, and we paid HydroClean for the manhole rehab of $50,250. BMTC paid FAR Technologies for the fiber to the home project of $28,572, and the government building purchased a 2019 Chevy Equinox vehicle for $23,399.
The motion to accept the 2020, February 2020 financial report.
Boone moves to accept the 2020 February financial report as Elaine Johnson stated.
Do we have a second?
Motion by Boone and seconded to accept the February 2020 financial report. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report is accepted. Election for this year.
So it has been quite an interesting election year. House Bill 1298, which was in your packet, kind of gives a quick rundown of all the changes that need to happen. The April 14th election is postponed, and we have the opportunity to choose any Tuesday in June. I reached out to Jackie, the Union County Auditor, in hopes to be included in on the election, not to actually be on her ballot, but just have our community go in and be able to vote on that same June 2nd date. She has not gotten back to me, and so I'm gonna, I would recommend setting June 2nd in conjunction with the primary election if the county agrees. Otherwise, we're gonna have to set another date, and it's getting expensive just the different publications. We had to, I'm also going to push absentee voting as much as possible, but then that also increases our foot traffic in the building. So we're taking steps. We've gotten 7 absentee ballots so far, but I hope Jackie comes back and is okay with me joining her primary election. I guess, Tom Freeberg, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is maybe you want to set your alternate date. You could say that the election will be June 2nd, contingent upon approval and acceptance by the county, because they're the ones that control the June primary. And the legislation that was passed said it had to be subject to the approval by the county, and the costs for the election have to be apportioned in a manner that's acceptable to the county. And I know Elaine's offered some alternatives to Jackie to say, hey, I'm willing to have an extra body there to make sure the ballots are in the right place and all those things. But if you want to set June 2nd as the date, I would do so on it's contingent upon county approval. Absent county approval, I think so you don't have to wait for another meeting. You can set your alternate date. That's any Tuesday in June. So you have the 2nd, the 9th, 16th.
What's your desired alternate? I know you don't have you desire the June 2nd, but what?
Well, the way things have been going and what, the forecast for the coronavirus is, June 16th, which would be 2 weeks after the primary election.
I think I'm out of town, which I guess I have to be present to vote.
You can absentee vote.
True.
I'm just asking, a what if? What if we're not to the point, the whole coronavirus thing, that we can't even do that in June, that we just push back again?
You don't have any, the legislation specifically states that it has to be, shall choose any Tuesday in June. So absent another special session of the legislature, you don't have any authority to move it other than the Tuesday in June.
We really want to push the absentee ballots.
Mm-hmm. I don't really want to put anything out there on Facebook or anywhere to tell anyone anything until we have a date set and we know what direction we're going.
Because like Elaine said, she's got to publish a notice of election, absentee ballot notices, so the facsimile of the ballot has to be published.
We reopened to register vote.
How soon would you anticipate hearing from the county on the June 2nd date?
I checked my email before the meeting started, hoping to hear back from Jackie, and like first thing tomorrow morning she'll respond. But
how far out do we have to publicize in the election date? Can this be tabled until the next meeting? And we'll have an answer from the county at that time?
Actually, the House Bill 1298 said that we need to set a date at this meeting. If I read that correctly.
If the county needed to know by April 3rd.
Because ideally we want June 2nd, because then it coincides with the county. It makes it easier for all the voters to come in. It's one place, one time.
Yep.
This could be confusion if we have to split.
I mean, June 2nd's your date. But if the county says no to you, you've got to pick another date. I don't know what tabling it for 2 weeks is going to solve for that. I mean, you got to pick a date and go with it.
Have the city election here, the primary election at the library, if it comes down to it.
As a second option.
Mm-hmm.
On June 2nd.
Mm-hmm. I don't think the location has to be set.
Could we just close? Could you technically even have it on the other side of the library? I mean, the library is closed, essentially.
And it says there can be multiple election boards in one location. Example, county, city, and school could have their own election board handing out their own ballots.
I mean, it's only have one board. There's probably not going to be more than
50.
So you could
They would just have to go into the library.
left to vote for the county, right to vote for straight for the House as an option. And you had also talked, you have some staff here that would serve potentially as your election board, right?
Right, we have, the staff here has stepped up and said that they're willing to help out once the polling places close to count ballots.
I say we do it if we have to close the library that one day.
Well, it is closed, basically.
Well, the library's open, isn't it?
Yeah, for takeout.
Oh, well, by then it might be open, you never know.
Well, just, I'm reading the statute says if you choose to hold the election on the primary election day of June 2nd, the following provisions are required. The combined election, so it doesn't even give you the option of having your separate election on the same date.
Oh.
Talks all about combined elections with the county, if you're using June 2nd.
So really, it's a second plus an alternate, is really what we're back down to.
Yeah. And I would get on the phone tonight and call Milt for the county commission meets tomorrow, make sure that he's on board, so. Since you have the chair of the county commission living in town, then that might be a nice phone call to make, and see if there should be a way to work this out.
Okay.
So we need a motion.
Yeah.
We need a second date. 9th? Why
It does
wait?
not matter to me.
You okay with the 9th?
Anybody opposed to the 9th? And then Teresa's in town. I move that we reschedule our city election to run concurrently with the counties on June 2nd, pending their approval. And if we cannot run a combined election, an alternate date of June 9th, 2020.
Only a second.
Motion by Doug and seconded for June 2nd with a June 9th alternate date if we're unable to run concurrently with the county. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. COVID-19 updates, Jerry.
Okay, I think Kelly's on here too, so Kelly, I hope you can hear us, but we've been talking a little bit about some of the parks, and you probably have seen a few things that we put on Facebook. As days go by, we kind of watch what's going on with other cities and what's being recommended by the governor, and kind of take some of their direction. But so far, we've shut these shelters down out there. We've just taped them off. We can get some signs put together. We hadn't done that yet. We just took immediate action there to try to keep people off all picnic tables and things that were under the shelters and keep them from gathering in those locations. So right now we have not done anything with the playground equipment. There's been some discussion. Vermillion and Sioux Falls, I think, have already closed their playground equipment, so people aren't on that. Obviously, the concern there is that we're not sanitizing that stuff every day or every time kids go on there. We've been doing a little monitoring just to see how much usage is there. Last nice day before today, we had about 10 kids out there playing, 3:30 in the afternoon, all at different locations within the park. So they are still being used. We're not specifically doing anything with them. If you guys want us to be more aggressive, we can sure do something and close them down as the city of Sioux Falls has done. I think tennis courts, Kelly, you've already got those closed up, I believe. So no one's in there messing with them. Bathrooms are all closed, but we haven't opened them. We wouldn't have opened them yet anyhow, but now as the weather warms up, obviously we'll be thinking about doing that. They will be closed. We're not going to get in there and service them on an hourly basis. We just don't have the staff to do that right now. So,
Baseball, softball fields, we're gonna start allowing practices or we're shutting them down.
I think it's just the distancing is what we've told everyone else, just distancing. If they want to throw the ball back and forth, that's one thing, but if they're gathering in large groups.
How do you throw a ball back and forth without transmitting the virus?
I think the delineation is if I take my son out and want to throw a baseball around the park, that's allowed, but
Organized practice.
The question to the council would be, are we going to shut the facility down for a team showing up,
Yeah.
use dugouts?
I think we have to for now, don't we?
I think we're kind of looking at you guys here for a little direction, because it'll be.
I'd say at least until the first meeting in May and we readdress it.
What do you think, Kelly? Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah, I agree. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I mean, I saw 3 boys from 3 different households out playing catch the other day, and the first thing in my head was, "Yeez, should they be doing that?" It's got to be able to transfer on a baseball, in my opinion. From what I know, if it's 2 brothers going out there, they live in the same house, fine. But I don't know how any organized teams can really go practice without breaking that 6-foot barrier or whatever it is at this point. I just think it's, with a team sport like that, I struggle to see how that's going to work.
Yeah, baseball hats, helmets, all that kind of stuff are going to have to be sanitized after each player.
What teams will be practicing, Kelly?
Well, right now it would just be the spring high school baseball team, but that season is basically over.
Yeah, they can't.
But there would be teams, believe me.
There would be softball, right? And traveling baseball.
There's probably 10 different teams that are going to be playing this summer, and if the parents and them thought that there was a chance, all the parents wouldn't, I'm sure, but I think Scott has sent out a message to all those people. We're just kind of all on hold right now, as far from his end with the Baseball and Softball Association, I believe. But there would be, there's teams that start practice in April for the summer in a normal year. This year, probably not.
A lot can change in 4 weeks. I'd like to see us just come up with some sort of rule or resolution.
But we already gave, I think the last time we said we reserve the right to close other city facilities.
In that ordinance, was it? Yeah.
Deemed necessary. You want Kelly to come up with a draft of something?
Well, are we gonna close the city park, or just the playground equipment and the shelters and the bathrooms, and if people wanna walk around, or you and your son wanna go play Frisbee in the park, that should be fine, but at some point, it's personal responsibility, and if there's kids out there co-mingling, can't expect police officers to go and chase them kids out of there all day long. The parents have to take some personal responsibility to know.
I agree with you on that, Troy, 100%.
I think
we can only do so much.
We can close the facility. I don't think we can regulate the behavior of a few individuals on a case-by-case basis at all.
There's no way we could absolutely come up with every possible scenario where somebody can do this. And I think it's common sense. If it's turning into a problem, Kelly, I think you need to get a hold of Jerry, and you guys can come up with a solution on what you need to do.
Okay.
I think that's the problem, is things aren't directly set in stone. There's been a couple things that have come up, and I'm like, pretty gray,
But if we're closing certain facilities or equipment, does that help some of those things?
Yeah, like the elementary school, they're totally locked up. Their playground equipment is locked up. Mr. James said no one's allowed in there.
So what do we do with the big playground equipment at the park? Do you get snow fence and put it around it?
No.
If we get to that point, that's really our only option.
Yeah, I think we need to get on Facebook, we need to get on social media and just let them know it's closed. Practice something. Quite honestly, I brought my kids down there last week, and I didn't even think about it until someone said, you probably shouldn't be down there. I'm like, oh.
One comment, I've had, not tons, but several people contact me on the phone and social media, and I've said, why don't you just placard stuff to tell kids to stay off the equipment, because that way they could actually tell their kids, see, they said stay off of it. And then it's, because I think folks are trying to be responsible, but then maybe a little signage might help. You have a comment, sir?
Yeah, we shut down the parks in Dakota Dunes just last Friday because we were having groups of 15, 20, 25 kids playing on the playground equipment, not just a family going over there. And we didn't rope it off or anything, we just made an announcement that all the playground equipment is shut down. All basketball hoops, all of that stuff is shut down. We didn't say you couldn't walk around the park, we didn't say anything like that. Just all the playground equipment is shut down, so that, and the parents know it. Now, if they don't abide by the rules, then I guess, we'll have to figure out something else, but that's as far as we went, just to let the community know that we're shutting down all the parks. And,
I think that's what we're kind of talking about anyways, it's just that, shut them down, but we'll take further drastic steps if it's not being.
I mean, some placards, like if Kelly has some stakes or a sign, right, Kelly, then you have the ability to post
Yeah, I mean, I can rope it off, I can if you want me to go find a bunch of, snow fence or something, I could potentially do that. We could try ropes,
I think
like we
that's
would at
only
the
if we
golf
have-
course first.
I think that's only if we have to escalate the efforts because it's
Right.
being abused.
Yeah. I mean, just like a for sale sign or something that you could post and say, this equipment's closed until further notice.
Yeah, I can do, that's not a problem. I can get that done easily.
that's good.
If that's the direction you guys want me to go, I mean, we put stuff out on Facebook, end of last week, I believe, and then I think Allie sent one of the notification. I don't know how much people see or hear that stuff, but basically, no picnic shelters, no picnic tables, and the playground equipment, you don't know who's been there before you, and you don't know who's coming after you, so you might want to think about that before you get on there. And that's basically where we left it, and I don't think a lot of people are thinking. They're just doing.
If we take the next step and tell them it's all closed, the baseball, softball fields are closed.
I can lock most of those gates and put signs up. I can't really do much about the north fields other than put signs up.
That's fine.
No, I don't think anyone,
I don't think we need a locked gate.
I don't think there's any issue if somebody wants, I mean, I saw, Sunday I was out by the north ball fields, and I saw people just out walking around the fields.
Yeah, that's fine.
They were just out there, individuals walking around. I mean, we don't want to stop people from getting outside and exercising.
If a dad's going out and playing catch with his son, nobody's gonna say a word to him.
Yeah,
right.
But if you get 10 or 15 kids who wanna play pickup.
Right, it's just no organized team practices basically, and then put signage on all the playground equipment at all the different parks.
I think that's more than enough.
That sounds good.
I don't think do we need to do the signs right away, or that would be like the next step if.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was gonna ask
If
you.
we're talking about it, let's just do it.
I think we should put signs, not everyone uses Facebook. If you were to found a couple stakes by the major pieces of equipment out at the park, the jungle gym, the major play equipment.
Okay, I'll get some signs and run them by whoever I need to run them by. I'll get something figured out tomorrow.
Keep them simple.
Yeah. Not a lot of words.
All right, guys, let's move into the swimming pool. Today, the governor shut down basically the Senator Executive Order through the end of May. So we usually open our pool sometime at the end of May. We're not even going to be able to get in there and probably do any maintenance on any of that until, well, if we hire anyone to come in, we can do that. But we don't know which direction we're going there. We've collected about 1,750 in family passes so far. So there are people that have obviously signed up and are excited about the pool, but we don't know where that's going either. You're going to be asked to probably hire some seasonal help a little later on, so at least we can kind of let kids kind of know where we're going, and hopefully we have enough people that if in the event we can open sometime in June, we would have those people available. So right now, I guess we're just kind of in discussions. Kelly, you can kind of speak up here too if you want to, but we don't know what to do other than just kind of play it by ear, like we've been pretty much every day changes. So we're just waiting to see. What is it?
Yeah.
Have you heard of any other cities doing anything yet?
What's that?
Have you heard of any other cities that have they specifically closed their pool for the?
No,
the
no, I
year?
haven't. They're all kind of on the same boat we are. Just waiting. It'll take me. If they say the end of May, and something miraculous happens, it's within about potentially 4 days, maybe 5 days from starting from where it's at right now. I could probably have it up and running unless there's any major problems between cleaning and getting it filled and getting the chemicals and everything right. If we can get the chemicals brought in, it's probably about a 4 or 5 day thing. So even if at the end of May, they say, yeah, we're good, within a week, I can have the thing up and going.
Yeah, I mean, sanitizing is gonna be the big thing, guys, here. We got stuff outside, inside, bathrooms. I mean, we're gonna have to have all kinds of staff, so we wanna make sure that this coronavirus is hopefully a thing of the past by then. I mean, otherwise we're gonna be looking at spending a lot of time trying to clean stuff on a day-to-day basis. Every one of those outdoor chairs and those chase lounges has to be cleaned after somebody sits in it, so it's gonna get to be very expensive.
In 2 months, if we're still doing this much social distancing, it's gonna be closed.
Yeah.
So,
We don't wanna get anyone too overly excited about it, but it's something that we are definitely
And with
looking
school being closed like it was, we do not have very many people that applied either. There's only 7 or 8 lifeguards and a manager, and 5 pool attendants that even applied, one of which is the mayor's son, and the 2 of which are my daughters. And there's no other applicants.
I got 2.
So I can track kids down probably, but a lot of them, I have 2 that were gonna do it, but they closed off their certifications. They closed all certification meetings because of coronavirus, so now they can't even get certified anyways. Or recertified in some cases.
My one comment, Kelly, would be, I think we need to have a written plan for opening the pool, and avoid spending money on anything that is gonna go bad, for instance. And I think the council's just gonna have to decide at some point in the future, whether it's next meeting or 6 weeks from now. I would caution though against anybody forecasting what we might do in 2 months. Because we just don't know. But I think if you all agree, I think we need to have a plan for an opening of June 1st. We need to have a plan for potentially an opening of July 1st. And then maybe even like a last feasible date opening. So that if we do have the opportunity to open it up, we kind of have something set up to do it.
Set some fee schedules.
So you did say though that it would take you about 4 or 5 days to get it spun up and ready to go?
Well, yeah, I mean, starting from where it is right now, I mean, it's full of water, I've got to drain it.
Right.
Pressure wash, clean the whole thing, and then get all the plumbing and stuff put back in, and then fill it and get all the chemicals in. That's going to be about 4 or 5 days, yeah.
So if you got to the point where, I guess what I'm thinking out loud is, I think we should get the pool to the point to where we're gonna fill it and have it ready to go. We've got some people that can work and get it to that point where if we decide we're gonna open it, that we're ready to go. And you gotta fill it up, you gotta put water in it, and we're 4 or 5 days out instead of 2 weeks out. That would be my
right. Well, I think I'm probably going to have to drain it and clean it anyways. I can't let it sit in there for another year.
Right.
So at least I can have it drained and cleaned, and then by the time I get that figured out, maybe we'll know a little bit more if I need to go take all the inlets out. They may tell me, I don't know, I have to call the mechanical company. They may want me to fill it up and run all the pumps instead of letting it sit for another year. I mean, that's going to end up being 500,000 gallons of water total, because we'll have to drain it, drain it, and fill it again to get it going into next fall.
Well, yeah, we probably should come up with some of the answers to those, because I see that point. You can't just let it sit all summer empty.
No, I've got to get it at least drained.
Water in it and run it regardless. So.
Yeah, if they tell me I need them, I may just have to bump those pumps to make sure they don't seize up, but if they want me to run water through them, I've got to fill the whole pool up. I don't have to run chemicals, but then if we get to that point, it's on this, it's the same deal of we just got to kind of take it day by day or week by week at the most.
I think it's responsible. We have to have it ready. So if it comes about where we are able to, I think we pay for that pool, the city pays for that pool. People will probably want to use the pool if something happens that's positive. So
basically get it as ready as I can get it and come up with basically try to come up with a date that's the last possible date we would consider opening to where it really doesn't make any sense to open.
Let the council decide what.
Right.
Present those to the council, and let the council chew on those ideas.
Elaine, how many, have you had anybody call and request a refund or anything on the
Not
food?
yet, but, would we come up with like $1,750 of, passes that have been purchased from Christmas?
I would just, my 2 cents is if somebody wants a refund, I would give them a refund. Whether, I mean, I wouldn't even do questions asked at this point. If they want to do it, just let them do it. If you have that possibility or capability of doing that. And then we'll address this thing later.
Agreed.
Sounds good.
All right, just quickly shifting over the golf course. Talking to Ben today, they're starting to get not a lot of play, but they're starting to get some play out there. So we're going to continue to run that just the way we have. You can come in the front door, go to the bathroom. In order to check in, you got to go around the backside. He's letting people in, limiting the number of people in and out. We took all the tables off the back deck, so people aren't able to congregate there. So we're trying to get them in, get them out, get them in their carts, and get on the course. I know he's been working on some stuff with the league play too. The man will want to continue on, probably not with as many, but like I told Ben today, I think we got to let those guys get out there, and as long as they social distance, just like anyone else is playing on a day-to-day basis, same rules apply. So let's keep those guys going. We want to keep as many members as possible. We got the bills to pay yet, and we want to make sure at least we got some play on the outside. So I think that's really all I have on the golf course. Kelly, you got anything there that you do?
No, I called several golf courses, and some of them are just kind of up in the air. We're such a weird, there's not a lot of municipal 9-hole courses, so it's kind of hard. It's kind of not really apples to apples. All the Sioux Falls courses, they're going to start their league same time. They do run them a little differently because of the number of players they have. They go tee times. Most of the small courses that I've talked to really haven't talked about league much yet. But as long as, I don't have a problem with it at all. From the maintenance end, it doesn't change anything for us at all. But from the safety standpoint, you know, to me, the only issue, there's only 2 issues I see coming up, and if it's explained to them, I think they're going to be just fine. It's congregating on the practice green before, because if it's shotgun start, they're all going to show up at 5:30 to 5:45, and then they're going to have something to do while they're waiting, because they can't get in the clubhouse. So that will have to be explained to them. And then typically after league is over, there's typically a group of anywhere from 8 to 16 guys that'll all pile in one group and go out and play holes until you can barely see anymore. That's not going to be able to fly either this year. We don't typically care that they do it, but I think this year is probably not a good year to do that. So other than those 2 things, everybody that's been out there is, for the very most part of it, has been following any rules that we've set for them. It's been pretty good from everything I've seen over the last couple weeks when we've been open.
All right, and I guess I'm kind of switching over to your other job there. In the summertime or in the spring and summer, we've always had the ladies downtown have planted flowers, and this could be coming up as an issue again. You know, we do typically water flowers every Monday, Friday morning. It takes about 2 people 3 hours by the time they get in the truck, get all the water filled or the tank filled, and go on their way. So it costs us roughly about $84 a week in salaries plus the gas and stuff. So $100 a week we're probably spending to water flowers downtown. We're just wondering if we're going to go forward with that again this year. Kelly doesn't have any intention to hire as much staff to do some of that. We're trying to cut budget where we can. We think this is one area that probably, if the people that want them out in front of their business, that they could just water their own flowers, it sure makes a lot more sense to us rather than us having to come by and spend $400 or $500 a month watering flowers for the people that can just step outside the door and hopefully water their own. So we're just trying to figure out ways to save money. This is one of the things that Kelly and I talked about. Are we going to move forward with what we've done in the past 3 years or just communicate with them. I don't have a problem with them. You know, I think we gave them money, about $1,500 in our budget to buy the flowers. I mean, if that's what they want. But I don't think that we can continue to water them if we're not going to have the staff available to do it. So.
I think that they can water.
I think it just needs to be explained to them, you know, what the conditions.
They'll be coming to us. They always do on this issue. So I just want to make sure you guys, if we choose to go that direction and not hire as much staff, because we don't know where the revenue's coming in. We're pretty certain that I would say our sales tax revenue over the next few months could drop, 20%. And
because I'm even planning on not purchasing the boulevard flowers this year, because those end up being, $125 a pot. So I'm planning on not even doing those this year, just to try to save some money.
Well, I think they're all business owners, so we just need to explain to them that we aren't hiring the extra staff, so we don't have that this year, and so
most
we're not gonna hire somebody just to
have their own out front, so they take care of their own stuff. So, and Nathan and I, every department has looked at their budget, and we've all looked at different areas where they can cut, and I'll provide some of that probably at the next meeting. But that was one of the goals we gave, because we know we started this over a month ago. There's no spending other than essential at this point in time. There's items that they have budgeted that they're not able to purchase. If they do purchase it, they got to come to Elaine or I to tell us what they're buying. Or else to the council if it becomes that, even though it was budgeted, because we really do not know where we're going to be, other than we know we're going to be short in revenue. So, if you look at our water and sewer usage right now, we're down. Electric usage is down compared to what was at last year at this time, and I think that's going to happen across the board as we continue to move forward. So, but those are probably what I wanted to talk about. One thing, this is an unknown yet, but I think it was today or last week, there was a bill passed, the president passed a bill. There's $1.25 billion in disaster money coming to the state. About half of that's supposed to go to the state, the rest is supposed to be doled out to cities. When those funds become available, we don't know for sure, but there might be some help coming to us. Whatever help is there, we are definitely going to apply for it. So we will work with the state to find out where that money is going to go. So that's about all I have. I gave you guys each this copy. Steve, you should have that copy too, just we started with the liquor store there. I just wanted to kind of give you a little comparison on our off sale. As we switched over after St. Patrick's Day, we went to off sale only that following Wednesday. So kind of gives you an idea of what we did. I think total for the month of March of 2020 compared to 2019, off sale was up just a little over $3,000. So not a huge difference, but it was up a little bit. Back in March of 2018, we're probably down in that time frame. But there are others selling off sale right now too that weren't selling off sale in 2018. So that probably has had some impact on the amount that we sell. We're open over there from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 3 to 8, and Friday and Saturday, 1 to 8, and nobody gets any overtime, and we're limited to just those hours. So that's where we're sitting on the liquor store.
Mayor, if I could bring up just one thing since we're talking about all this COVID-19 and shutting down our parks and different large events, it's still my understanding that we have a large group of youth that are gathering downtown on weekends. Is that something that we need to also address?
How much per speed? There's about 10 to 15 cars from what I understood. It fizzled out pretty quick. It's getting smaller and smaller. I think we need to address it. I mean, if we're gonna address, the parks, if we're gonna address the golf courses.
Are they staying in their cars, or are they getting out?
I don't have an answer for you on that.
If they're staying in their cars and just doing crews, then that's social distancing, I guess, as long as, depends on, they're not loading 6 kids in a car. But
I mean, we allowed the churches for Palm Sunday to all meet outside. I mean, they were all staying in their cars. They're doing a cruise. We're doing a cruise tomorrow night with the fire department. So,
but if they're getting out and standing and gathering like they like to, then that's a no.
We dispersed.
I was informed by one of them. I was informed by one of the participants that they all stayed in their cars.
Tom, can we disperse people on the sidewalk?
I've had a lot of calls from parents in the last week, and they asked my opinion on it, and I just told them I don't think it's a good idea.
They're doing it in like all these towns, or they did it for a week or two. I know T had a big one, and Harrisburg had a big one, and I think
they're doing it the right way.
Right.
So I guess we'll address that if it gets to be 30 and 40 sitting in front of the library, we'll pick that up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great, the timing's what happens, isn't it?
All right, wish you all well.
Thank
Thank you. I'm gonna keep up the
Drive
good work. A lot of tough decisions coming up. Thanks.
The gravel bits?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff had American Engineering put a test the gravel that we were the low bidder, and they did not meet our specs. They were, I think, the lowest limit on, I don't really understand all this stuff, but the number 200 at the very bottom of this page, it was supposed to be between an 8 and 30 limits, and they were at 4.9. So that doesn't meet the specs. We've never used that from Boyer before. It's a little bit different type of gravel, so we want to reject that one, and we would want to go back with Recknagel. They're a little bit more expensive, but it's probably a little bit, it's gravel that we're used to using, I guess. Would that be correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
So reject the low bidder because it doesn't meet specs, and award the delivered price per ton to Recknagel Construction for $10.25.
Shall I make a motion? It's okay to crush gravel,
Correct.
as Jerry signed the statement.
Do we need two motions, one to reject, or is it one single motion to reject and accept?
I think
Did you award last time?
No.
Subject to, okay, you tabled it
Yes.
till it was tested, so you could just have your bid to accept Recknagel's because included in there that the other didn't meet specs. Because they would technically be the only responsive bidder.
Get that, Dad?
Also put him with Boyer, you said.
Okay, so I think we have a motion to accept the Recknagel bid for crushed gravel at the rate of $10.25 a ton. Is that right?
Yep. Doden will second that motion.
Motion by Schott, seconded by Doden. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6-month probation for Allison Krager. I think it's just a formality. Is there a motion to approve the?
Boone makes a motion to approve her probation review and step pay increase.
Wait a second.
Motion by Boone and seconded to authorize step increase to 82.5% at $16.81 per hour for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, I just got one.
Yes, sir.
Jeff, you got the sheet in there for this asphalt, we got a bid on that?
No, it just got caught in my stuff there.
Okay,
Or we already did
sorry.
that one. It was attached to the other stuff.
Full-time hire for the police department.
I just want to move forward. I got one I recommend is Alfred Freeze. He worked for the state pen. He went to school in Southeast. I don't believe he received a degree there. Worked for the Sioux Falls Police Department for a year. Looking at starting him off at 90% of the cap, which would be $19.56 an hour.
What's his name again?
What's that?
What's his name?
Alex DeFreeze.
He's certified already then?
He is certified, yes. I know, going forward with this, Alex he's only been in law enforcement for about a year. I'm not gonna do the status quo, what, it used to be at the police department 2 days and we're kicking him off the road. We need to give him adequate training. With adequate training is gonna come overtime. I'm adjusting shifts where I'm covering and coming and going, for me, but I'm covering the major shifts. So there is gonna be overtime. I just don't wanna send an uncertified guy out there to make mistakes, get the city in trouble, so. I'm looking at a 2-month process on that. I'll probably evaluate after month 1, and I can come to the council and give you my thoughts if we need to go any further with it, but just to let you know.
When's he looking to start?
As soon as, if it's okay, I'm gonna call him tonight, and he can put his 2 weeks in right away. So I'll get Elaine a date on that, and then I got some administrative stuff I gotta figure out, get him hooked up on some state stuff. Since he was certified in 2018, he's got a lot of mandatory training to catch up on, so it'll be probably a couple days of office computer work. Just doing your mandatory training at the state mandates every 2 years. So.
Your motion?
Shall I make a motion to hire full-time, Hereford Police Department, as Police Chief stated?
Motion by Schott and seconded to authorize the hiring of Alex DeVries at the rate of $19.56 per hour. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Seasonal hires, Bridges Golf Course, Parks, Pool, and Public Works.
Kelly provided a list of those hires. You can take a look at that. Obviously the park and golf, we're gonna need those guys for sure. We don't know in the swimming pool for the lifeguards, but we'd like to get all those so that at least they know if and when we open that they would have a job there. So
Shall I make a motion for seasonal hires for Bridges, Golf Course, Parks and Pool, as Jerry Senate stated?
Wait a second.
Motion by Schott and seconded to authorize seasonal hires from Bridges Golf Course, Parks, and Pool. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public Works. Jeff?
I've got Tyler Pesky that wants to, we're putting an application to come back. We've had him listed under the grounds maintenance. For the last 2 years, I've had him shoveling asphalt, driving the tractor and mowers. So it's not just been weed eaters and riding lawnmowers. He's been helping with the water, helping his dad, you know, when they're putting meters in. We've had him in the wrong spot. I'd like to move him from the grounds maintenance to the maintenance repair. As he's starting his 4th summer, it looks like that would have him at the 1280. Is anybody else looking at this same sheet?
I don't have that.
Elaine, what did you have on? I thought you told me 13. Is that what it was?
So that, I'd like to move him up to the $13 an hour. Just because
That's our part-time scale that you're.
Yeah. So.
Shall I make a motion to hire Public Works for Jeff Keith's son at $13 an hour as stated, as a maintenance repair, part-time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a second.
Motion by Schott and seconded to approve the hiring of Tyler Kavinsky as a maintenance repair. And it's 13 hours at the correct, at the rate of $13 per hour. Any further discussion?
I got a question, Jeff. So is it full-time then through the summer, or are we on the need as needed?
Yeah, I hadn't planned on hiring him yet, but all the one calls are coming in for the fiber to the home, and Keith needs some more help. So it might be 2-3 hours. He wants some start tomorrow, 2-3 hours tomorrow, because he can't come all day. So it's going to be on an ad basis.
I just didn't want him standing around.
Yeah.
If he didn't need help.
You know, and if Tyler's been here just before summer, and he is good help.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I want you to.
Yeah.
As Jerry stated, we're trying to.
Yeah.
Nip and tuck everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think the last 2 years that he was here last year for 9 1/4, and you know, there was, I don't know, I guess I wasn't doing my job on what I was just throwing more stuff at him because, you know, he was able to handle it. So I needed the extra shovel at times, and And if I could put him on a tractor and mow, that's where he was going. So,
You said that all the calls from one call are coming in. Mike, is our electric department seeing that too? Having to mark all these?
My guys were out doing it for about 5 hours today.
Okay. I guess that's just something I didn't even think about when we were doing this project, that the rest of our departments are now gonna have to take this time to mark up our city.
It's not just marking, most of them are probably gonna have somebody around them, especially when they're starting to get close to their underground facilities, so they'll be following them around a lot. And unfortunately, that's just, it's better to watch them than have to tear them apart and then have to fix it later, so.
Just some thoughts and thoughts.
And I'm just gonna add that's gonna be another expense for me. A lot of paint, a lot of flags for the summer, for that project. So.
No further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries approved. Is there a motion to approve the subsidy drawdown for the Beresford Community Bus in the amount of $8,000?
Dwayne moves to approve the subsidy drawdown for the amount of $8,000 for the community bus.
Motion by Delaney, seconded, to authorize $8,000 drawdown for Beresford Community Bus. Any further discussion?
Are they operating now, or are they shut down?
I was just gonna say, I'm on the board for them, representing the council, and they are shut down. But I know the Rocks, rural operation, the community bus that oversees all of them. They're normally at least 30 days, if not 60 days behind in their billing for the operation of the bus. So I'm not sure if Elaine has that number, because I didn't talk to Carolyn, but did Carolyn give you a number of where they are for payment to Rocks?
She just said that they owed money and that they would just have to hold off until they got the subsidy from us.
So the bus is not operating, Troy. So I think if we wanted to find out, instead of giving them the full 8,000, maybe we find out what they are required to have, and then cut that part.
They're gonna get back and operating, I would think, by the end of the year, and if they need their money now, we've budgeted for it, I'd be fine giving them.
Okay, I just wanted you guys to be informed that they're not operating.
It's a service our town needs, I'm sure they'll get back and running as soon as they can.
I guess my question was, if it's 4 months from now before they do, then maybe they're only gonna need 5,000 or 6,000 from us instead of the full 8. We're talking about not planting planters at $100 a piece, so for probably a total of $1,000. So I mean, every couple grand helps, so that's why I was asking. I guess they could always give it back or request less for next year.
Since you're on the board, can you talk, if the council agreed to disperse $8,000, that it's to be used only for what it would normally be used for, not for other stuff, then you'd want to see some accounting of that?
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I am.
Troy? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Beresford PRCE drawdown request in the amount of $27,000.
I can make a motion to approve the drawdown request for Beresford PRC, amount of $27,000.
Wait a second.
Motion by Svagen, seconded. Authorizing $27,000 drawdown request. Any further discussion?
Same question.
Same question.
Do they actually need the $27,000?
Right now, they are closed, obviously, but we are paying our, all of the staff is being paid right now. So that expense is still coming in, or the expense is still being incurred. However, there's no tuition revenue coming in on Watch Puppy or on Kids Connection. So we have the expenses going out but no revenue coming in. As soon as they're able to reopen, I'm sure they will, with Summer Kids Connection being the first thing. So,
like other businesses, can that staff, is it appropriate to lay them off and have them apply for unemployment?
they, guess I don't know how much I can say, but they have applied for one of the program loans that's being offered right now. So,
How do we account for it?
Well, we're not gonna have lifeguards sitting out in chairs if the pool's not open on the clock, and this is taxpayer funds, and if they're open and operating and they hit, and we approved it, we should give it to them. But if they're not open and operating, then I think they need to follow our lead in trying to cut expenses because revenue's down. So I guess it just, same concern that they take the money and what are they gonna do with it? You know, their expenses are down.
I would approve this one. I think the next one on the baseball and softball, I think that one needs to just be tabled until that even.
We wouldn't pay the coaches even though they don't have a season. We're paying the people that watch. Those coaches have accepted those jobs already.
right, Watch Puppy has agreed to kind of follow the school's lead, and the school is paying their aides, and so we have agreed to pay our aides.
A lot of their aid is in kind, so if they're not there flushing the toilet, using electricity, that amount of aid that they're paying is going down. That's all I'm suggesting is that we would
I'm fine with,
proportionately do the same.
I mean, if you want, I'm fine with splitting it and saying, okay, right now you can only have a portion of it, and if things get back to normal,
You want to
third
close
quarter,
for 5 months.
come back and get that.
Am I alone on that?
What's that?
Am I alone on this?
Are you okay with giving them some?
I don't think we should put RC in a bad position right now. I think it can go with some strings attached if they need to report what they were using it for. The baseball, softball one, I completely see that one.
I agree.
But some of those coaches accepted that coaching job as their summer job.
If they're not gonna do any coaching,
Just like
we're not paying the lifeguard.
My understanding,
We're not paying,
my understanding was like
I know.
the pool salaries and the parks salaries. We approved the hiring of them, but Kelly has no intention of actually bringing them on.
Unless we need them.
Right.
Yep.
And they don't, I mean, in
If they're
my
gonna-
mind, if they decide that they don't wanna wait and they go get another job,
It's their choice.
that's their
If-
choice.
if
And
they're
that's the
gonna
same
have
thing the coaches can do. They can go choose to get something else and not wait around to see what this is gonna do.
if they're gonna have an abbreviated baseball season or softball season, and they wanna come back and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a month season, so we're not paying them, we're only paying them a half or whatever, then we'll give them half.
The only point is be consistent.
So,
So not paying the baseball coaches and is
What is it?
consistent, but
What is the $27,000 fund summer-wise? Does that help them for,
goes into their general budget.
Yeah, it just wasn't.
because they have no, like you said, no revenue right now. So is that basically just to float their salaries?
And there's unemployment available with extra unemployment money with the stimulus package.
And we haven't, we haven't really talked much about the Summer Kids Connection. We've talked with people about leading it, but we haven't obviously done any hiring or bringing people on because we don't know yet, so. Like I said, I'm fine with giving them, I guess, a portion of it, or doing like we're doing with the bus and say, okay, we'll give it to you, but if you are able to secure other funding to help pay for payroll and you're not gonna need this, show us the accounting and maybe reduce your request for the next year.
I'm fine with that.
that sounds good, Teresa.
And I work pretty closely with the person that does their accounting there, and I talk. I don't do it. But
So we're discussing full amount.
for PRCE, yes.
The council wants some enhanced accounting to understand where this money went to.
Similar to the,
There.
I mean, if they were to lay off some of their staff, not pay them, and they were getting unemployment, we would expect then that that money sits there, and they use it for payroll when they get going again, and
One thing I would add, I don't think it would be appropriate for PRC to bring people on now and start paying them if they're not open.
right.
Maybe a little bit better if you're paying some people that are already there.
Right, it's just the teachers and the aides that were there for the Watch Puppy preschool. We aren't paying the Kids Connection.
Those are all
supervisors.
full-time positions.
The aides are not, no. But our teachers have contracts, so we're paying those contracts.
There's no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Beresford Baseball Softball Association, 10,000. I'll summarize, I don't think we should, I think we should table this one until they have some idea.
Agreed.
I make a motion to table 10,000 for baseball.
We don't need a motion to table it, do we, Tom? We don't have to have a motion to table.
Just, if you're not gonna take any action.
Right.
Just table.
No action.
So it's falls to old business next meeting.
No other items listed on the agenda. Motion to adjourn.
So, do we have to pay bills?
Oh, motion to pay the bill, sorry. It wasn't, sorry.
We're in a hurry to get out of here.
So you can make a motion to pay the bills.
Joe, second.
Motion by Swagan, seconded by Joe. Authorized payment of the bills, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourn.
Received a complaint today from one of the residents downtown that
Everyone's got problems.
that there was drag racing going on downtown.
Yeah, what do you want?